Imagine waking up, grabbing your tools, and heading to work. But instead of jumping on a train or sitting in traffic, your morning commute requires crossing 3 international borders just to farm a patch of dirt a few minutes from your house. This specific patch of dirt was called Dahala Khagrabari. It was about the size of a football field, roughly 1.7 acres of jute crop sitting in the Cooch Behar district, and it was owned and worked by a Bangladeshi farmer who lived right next door. Dahala Khagrabari was a third-order enclave, a tiny piece of India, surrounded by Bangladesh, surrounded by India, and surrounded again by Bangladesh. To farm, he left his outer Bangladeshi home, crossed the Indian enclave, entered the Bangladeshi counter-enclave, and finally reached the Indian field. This extreme cartographic nesting turned a simple walk to work into a daily jurisdictional puzzle. If a crime happened in the field, local police couldn't cross the multiple borders to respond. If they wanted a paved road, access to reliable electricity, or a local hospital, they were paralyzed by red tape. Building basic infrastructure meant negotiating an international treaty. Dahala Khagrabari was the most extreme example, but it was part of a larger system of over 160 scattered enclaves along the border. For the people living in them, this geographical glitch created a life of statelessness. They lacked clear legal citizenship to either nation. Tens of thousands of residents found themselves trapped behind invisible walls. Without passports, voting rights, or access to state schools, they lived in a geopolitical vacuum. They became known as the nowhere people. A line drawn strictly on paper for political convenience will inevitably fail the actual humans forced to live on top of it. To figure out how this happened, we have to look back to the early 18th century. Nobody set out to maliciously trap farmers in an administrative maze. The map was born out of regional conflict between the Mughal Empire and the Kingdom of Cooch Behar. As these two powers clashed over the centuries, local rulers found a pragmatic way to settle minor skirmishes. Instead of drawing a single, contiguous boundary line, they simply traded tiny pockets of land to maintain peace. The rulers used territory like chips at a casino table. In 1713, a key peace treaty formalized this chaotic exchange, officially shuffling isolated estates into opposing territory. A 1760 treaty compounded the error. A Mughal estate ended up entirely enclosed within a Cooch Behar estate, already sitting inside Mughal territory. The third-order layer was set. A futile, pragmatic tactic to prevent immediate bloodshed became the architectural blueprint for a centuries-long administrative crisis. When the British East India Company arrived and took control of the region, they had an opportunity to clean up the map. But simplifying the borders meant disrupting the zamindari system, a complex network of local land rights and, crucially, tax collection. British administrators prioritized a steady revenue stream over geographic logic. They deferred to the existing land rights, freezing the scattered anomalies exactly where they were. Fast forward to 1947, and the British Raj comes to a sudden end. The entire subcontinent was violently carved into the independent nations of India and Pakistan, which later included modern-day Bangladesh. Overnight, the partition hardened those fluid historical tax pockets into rigid, heavily guarded international borders. The combination of colonial indifference and a rushed national division accidentally imprisoned entire generations inside a cartographer's glitch. After centuries of gridlock, a diplomatic solution was finally pushed through. On August 1, 2015, the political freeze officially thawed. Through the India-Bangladesh Land Boundary Agreement, the two nations executed a massive mutual land swap. They effectively exchanged all the scattered territories, completely erasing the 160 enclaves from the map, including Dahala Khagrabari. By untangling the map, the agreement finally granted official citizenship, basic rights, and a legal identity to over 50,000 previously stateless people. Erasing the enclaves stands as a rare triumph of modern diplomacy over entrenched historical stubbornness. Today, Dahala Khagrabari is just a normal piece of Bangladesh. The world's only third-order enclave was wiped from the map with a signature. It took 300 years of human suffering to correct lines drawn by long-dead kings and colonial surveyors. We tend to view borders as permanent, unmoving facts of nature, but they aren't. They are fragile, invisible human inventions, subject to the errors of the people who draft them. If an 18th century tax treaty could accidentally trap tens of thousands of people in stateless limbo, what arbitrary borders are we blindly defending today that will trap the people of tomorrow?